Start your day just right. Welcome to Mornings Together with Rob, Mon, and Bernie.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Hello.
Morning.
Hello. Good morning to all of you on this. What day is it today? It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. We're
forgetting what
count.
day it
We're
is.
forgetting what day it is. Oh, boy. Georgia Allison was in first today saying good morning. So
Yeah,
good morning,
right
Georgia.
on, Georgie.
Nice one.
No earthquakes this morning, I'd hope, down in
That's
Wellington.
right.
Yeah, no.
Bit of a shaky start to yesterday.
Yeah.
And Hannah is with us. I'm back.
Oh, yay, Hannah.
So,
Well done.
Great
That's
having you with
awesome.
us, Hannah. Are you listening from the warehouse again today, or are you got the morning off?
Yes.
Does your boss know you're watching?
Yeah.
Does your boss know you're watching?
Yeah.
Speaking of bosses, this morning's guest, we have got Tim Collins with us.
Yay,
Yes.
Great to be with you
Tim.
guys.
Well
Thank you.
done.
It's great to be here.
Hello. Yeah.
So
good
we're
to see
going to
you.
be hearing from Tim a little bit later on in the episode.
Yeah.
But before we get into too much further, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your fun out? And
So moved down to Tauranga 18 months ago from Auckland, married to Bronwyn, and we've got sort of 3 young adult kids now, Beth, who's 22, Hannah, who's 19, and Matthew, who's 17. I'm the general manager of the Christian Education Trust here down in Tauranga. So yeah, just love living here and love the Mount and the lifestyle here. And the traffic is way less, obviously, than living in Auckland. So it's very, very cool.
Tauranga attracts Aucklanders. It's just one of those places.
Once you're here as an Aucklander, you don't want any more to come down. Really.
No,
So,
exactly.
you really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's great to be here.
No, it's
That's
great.
awesome.
Great to have you on with us this morning, Tim.
Oh,
Thanks,
for
Bernie.
sure.
For joining us. It's great. Yes, Hannah is in the warehouse packing.
There we go.
And she doesn't know yet, her boss.
She
So
doesn't.
I like that.
No one knows.
Angela says Morena.
Good morning.
Morena.
Jolene says good morning.
Nice to see you.
And then Graham Randall and Kara Randall say hi,
Oh,
guys.
Yeah,
nice.
to the Randalls.
So lovely to have you all with us this morning. Not as yuck as yesterday,
Yeah,
which
I
is nice.
know.
But
Seeing
nice.
some blue
It's
sky
nicer.
outside, which
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah. Of course, big news yesterday with the
Big
with the
news.
government from Friday. Level 2 will go up into gatherings to
Yep.
100.
To 100.
Just letting you know that there will be announcements from BBC later this week
Yes.
from Craig and from Kyle about what that means.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that.
Indeed.
Don't want to jump the gun and I want them to probably
That's
bring
right.
the news.
Yeah. They need
I
to
had
bring
all the
news.
young adults last night like, can we meet tonight?
Yeah.
It's like Friday.
Friday.
You didn't just have the young adults contact you, did you, Rob?
I had a lot of them
Yeah.
text me straight away because Monday night's usually young adults night, and so they're all like, "Can we come around?" It's like, no,
No.
It's on midday Friday.
It's still Friday.
let's go to Monday.
Yeah.
Well, last week we talked briefly. Was it on Friday or
It
Thursday?
was Friday Fun Day.
Friday
Yeah.
Fun Day. We talked about the ruthless elimination of hurry.
Yep.
Yes.
And so our catch-up question this morning is as we're continuing to get busier, as life is resuming, as kind of what can we do to create more space as we go from level 2 to level 1 in our lives?
Yeah. Creating spaces, I've been kind of thinking about that
Mm.
because I kind of put the challenge out there. What are 5 things can you eliminate from your schedule? What are 5 things not to do
Mhm.
instead of do this,
Yeah.
which can sound like law or whatever, but to eliminate some things is more freeing. I found that I really, as I was thinking about that and trying to create maybe some Sabbath space, some margin, that it takes some organization before that
yeah.
happens.
True.
Oh yeah.
That in order to protect even some time away from this, that I'm thinking, oh my goodness, maybe it puts a little bit of pressure, like on a Thursday, Friday, if you think you want to have some Saturday to have a margin or whatever and family time. I'm thinking I have to get organized,
Yeah.
which is a
Yep.
good thing. I
Yep.
think it was kind of like a good kind of thinking about it. Like, okay, be kind to yourself. What can you do? Take small steps to create more margin, because I can already feel
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
hurry.
Yeah. It's
The
picking up.
hurry and
Yeah.
busyness of it. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't want to go back to the frantic, like I said last week, frantic faithfulness.
Yep.
I need to take the frantic out of being faithful.
It's one of those things that like making space requires discipline, and
It
people
does.
don't like the word discipline, but
No.
it is what is needed.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us would experience this during the lockdown as
Yeah.
well. It's like
Yep.
if you wake up with no plan for your day, nothing
Exactly.
happens, and you
Yeah.
just end up feeling frustrated by the end of it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But if you kind of intentionally make space for things,
Yeah.
you-
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. And John Mark Comer talks a lot about that. He goes, you create rules for life. He says, but you already have rules for life.
Yeah.
If your rule is the minute you wake up, you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's your rule. That's
Yep.
one of your rules.
Yeah.
That's right.
There are things that you already do that are like these subconscious rules.
Yeah.
And he's saying, how about a rule for life that is letting God love you.
Yeah. It is,
Can you create margin for
it is
that?
that weird
Yeah.
thing where it's like almost guided freedom.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
saw a little comic strip yesterday where it's like absolute freedom comes with crushing anxiety
Oh yeah.
because you don't know if you're
Exactly.
making the right decisions
Yeah.
at any point.
Yep.
Whereas with faith and with Christianity, there's almost like guided freedom,
Yep.
which some people don't like the sound of, but actually it leads to a greater
Freedom,
pure
exactly.
version of freedom.
Yeah.
We've been in a season. I wrote a blog for Tear Fund recently, and I talked about how everybody's got an opinion about what you should be doing with your time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gurus are telling you should be doing this fitness thing, and then someone else is saying you should be
Yep.
taking this Harvard Law School paper, and what
Yeah.
are you doing with
Yeah.
your time? What
Learn
are
a
you
Spare
language.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
learn a
yeah,
spare
language.
time you
Yeah.
had,
all this
you know.
spare time.
But I think for one of the things that we're not very good at is being self-aware.
Yeah.
And so those habitual things that you talk about, going straight to Instagram and some of these other things, they've just become habits in our life. And
Yeah.
if we're aware that actually they're unhealthy,
Yeah.
we should be changing that no matter what the season is.
Yeah.
Whether it's COVID-19 or anything else.
Exactly.
Pull that thing.
Yeah.
Put something healthy in there that's good for you in your space and time.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're talking about being intentional, aren't you?
That's
to
right.
to know where your time
Absolutely.
goes
Yeah.
and be intentional on how you use that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I feel like you come away with a greater sense of achievement as well when you do that, and that's important for all of us, like to have that sense of achievement.
Absolutely.
I know for me, like during last year when I was preparing for the half marathon, those times when I discipline myself and carve out time to go out and run,
Yep.
The distances get bigger and bigger, kind of thing. I'd come back and be really felt really rewarded for the time that I had spent doing that. But you
Exactly.
had to be disciplined to be able to go out and do that.
You had a goal though.
I had a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a goal.
Yeah.
But it's the same with our faith and that life that we approach in terms
Yeah.
of making sure, like we're saying, with carving out time for the things that matter
Yeah.
most to us.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think even taking baby steps towards that.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, now I'm going to read, or if you haven't had a regular rhythm with, of spending time with God, well, I'm going to do that for an hour a day.
Yeah.
And if you have,
Yeah.
back it up.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start with Psalm 119. No, start with something.
Yeah.
Psalm one's a
just-
good start.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, it's a marathon. But just your season, just starting slow and then having it as a regular rhythm.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and we're going to continue to probably unpack this over the next little while.
Absolutely.
But I think we've talked about this a little bit since Brooke was on. We're at a pivotal moment probably with
Yeah.
the journey with COVID-19 and where everybody is at, and in terms of that we're about to lift up our heads a little bit more than what
Yeah.
we've been able to over the last number of weeks.
Yeah.
And it probably comes a time of trying to establish some of these things.
Yeah.
So Mon, what would be a baby step from your perspective in terms of what would be like a good baby step for people to take in terms of carving out space?
Okay, with your personality, your season of life, I would think just whatever I think you find real connection with, finding out what your connection is with God, whether it's through worship, obviously through his word, but doing that at least for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to stop and take a breath. And I think the question I've been saying kind of in the morning lately is like, okay, God, how can I make you look good today in my life?
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's something I can grab onto for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have been really good about not checking my phone first thing, or it's the alarm, but kind of pushing it away and just like, I'm not going to.
Yep.
Okay, God.
Yep.
Yeah. And then whether it's a podcast or worship or whatever, but just starting something that you're getting to a frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What do you reckon, Rob? Baby step.
Baby step for me would be choosing just one thing.
One thing. Yeah.
We want to change 15 things because we
Yeah.
think there's that many things wrong with our life, but actually one thing
One
gets you
thing.
that sense of, man, I can achieve something.
Exactly.
And move forward. So for us last night, Deb and I, kids were moaning and groaning because it was overcast and rainy and they didn't want to go for a walk. So we went for a walk anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Because that was one of the things that we wanted to keep going
Yeah.
post lockdown is walking together
Yeah.
because we unpack the day, we share with each
Yeah.
other. We'll drag them out next time, but
Yeah.
walking, we're going
Come
to
on.
keep that
Walking.
alive. Just
Awesome.
one
Yeah.
thing.
Love it.
It's one
Try one thing.
small thing.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
Yeah, I was impressed. Years ago, I went to London and I went to John Wesley's church in London, which was still a functioning Methodist church in London.
So
And
cool.
because I was a pastor then, the caretaker showed me into John Wesley's house, which is next door.
Awesome.
And you can go into his bedroom and you can see the mat on the floor where he used to pray at
Oh,
4 a.m. in the
wow.
morning.
Wow.
Now, those
Wow.
of you who lived in London in the middle of winter, it's quite an effort to get up early in the morning. And it's worn out. The mat is worn out and the floorboards are worn out. And he would get up so early just to, the one thing is just spend time in prayer and saying, Lord, what do you want me to do with my time today? And you look at what Wesley achieved with the Methodist Church, etc. And it's just the one thing he did. He was on his knees in prayer every morning, asking what Monica said, Lord, how can I make you look good today? It's a great example, those worn floorboards of just the one thing that he did to make it special.
So good. So I think the key with these baby steps is, make it measurable, make it small, make it something that you can incorporate every day. Don't be like, I'm going to do a 40-minute spiritual workout every single day kind of thing. Because that won't last. You'll do it for 2 days.
I mean, you work up into that, you know what I mean? Like eventually, and you find a rhythm and things, but none of us are like Henry Nouwen or Mother Teresa.
Well, you get discouraged. You start off with 40 minutes, you last for 3 days, and you can't do it anymore, and it discourages you.
Exactly.
So
I remember when I was at mission school in Germany, we would have every Friday be a Seek God Friday kind of thing. And which is cool. And you do the first one, you're like, I'm going to fast and I'm going to go for a big long prayer walk. And by about a month and a half in, you get to the Friday and the school's intense. Like it's an intense time.
Anyway.
And you get to the end, you're like, I just need to sleep.
And that can be the best thing you can do
and
sometimes.
maybe that is something that you need to put it like sleep.
But it'd be like, I'm gonna sleep and then I'm gonna go do something. And just making it measurable. Like, rather than trying to from day one fill the whole entire 12-hour day of I'm gonna fast and pray and be uber holy. It's like, I'm gonna take 45 minutes actually and go on a walk and pray and read and all that. So we'll keep unpacking that over the next little while. But I just want to jump over to the comments. Graham Randall says have some non-negotiables, like you were saying, Rob, about the walk. Like that is something that we're going to have to do every single day.
Push it.
George is saying, I agree. I try to read a devotional and a verse of the day that gets sent to me before I reply to messages and check social media. It doesn't always happen though. One thing she also says, one thing someone said to me when setting goals is to make sure you're running towards something instead of away from.
Yeah, that's good.
It's been proven you are more likely to achieve if you're going towards something easy. I want to get fitter instead of I want to lose weight.
Exactly.
It's great.
Good thoughts. I like that. I just want to say good morning again to everybody. It's great to have you with us. Welcome to Mornings Together with Rob, Mon, and Bernie, and Tim today. Tim Collins is joining us. We are live on Facebook and YouTube and on the church website. So hi to all of you who are watching on the different platforms. Just want to let you know we're continuing this. We're going to keep pushing through. We might change things up after the long weekend, but the whole point of this is how do we be together when we can't necessarily be together? How do we find out how we're really doing during this time? And it's crazy. We're at episode 41. So we've done 41 of these. And it's been an incredible journey of hearing your stories and hearing your thoughts and things like that. And so I was talked to by 3 people, I think, yesterday that I ran into, and they're just sharing their different perspectives of how much this has meant to them. So thank you for joining with us. Thank you for being with us, and we will continue.
Absolutely. Thanks for the emails too.
Encouraging
emails. I'm just like, wow, people taking time out to tell us how much this has meant and how they felt connected to the church and stuff. So I think that's awesome. So thank you.
And not only has it helped with connectivity, for a lot of people, it's helped with your cooking as well.
Exactly.
because of Flavor Rob. So Flavor Rob, hit us with your flavor tip.
No worries. Well, last night we had a pretty enjoyable time together as a family. We started making pasta. Now, actually making the pasta ourselves, not buying it. I know it's an easy, cheap thing you can buy for $1 or $2 a packet, but there's something very gratifying about making your own pasta. So I got 2 things here. I got pasta, the actual dough, and gnocchi. So
gnocchi.
I don't know how many of you have had gnocchi before. They're both really easy. 3 ingredients, essentially egg, flour, and salt for a great pasta, and a little bit of water just to keep that going through. And for gnocchi, it's literally just potatoes, a little bit of flour, and an egg. So very similar.
Potatoes.
Potato.
Now, I don't know if you've been to a really good restaurant, had a good gnocchi or a good pasta, you go, that's not bought pasta.
No.
That is made pasta.
Homemade.
And
It's
last
like
night,
fluffy little pillows of goodness in your
that's
mouth.
exactly. Come on, Monica. See, this whole cooking thing's rubbing off on people.
I know,
it really is.
They're starting to describe things so well.
she wants your slot, I think, Rob.
She wants my slot. We can swap.
No, we got more of your cooking, Rob. I think
That's right.
So those 3 things. So a pasta, a really essential thing is knead that dough really well. If you don't have a pasta machine, it's okay. It makes life a lot easier. But a good pasta is just really well done dough, and then it's rolled out really thin, and you can cut it into all sorts of shapes. Now, the thinner you get it, the more you can do with it. All right, so you can create great little raviolis or tortellinis. You can make your spaghetti. You can make your fettuccine. Last night we had fettuccine. Our kids love that. And we ended up making so much. It was like, there's stuff for lunch today, there's stuff for lunch tomorrow. And it's very cheap. It's very easy to make. And you can have your sauces and so forth boiling on the side while you're doing your gnocchi or your pasta. Really important with pasta is to get it to a point and then rest it. Okay, so resting is an important part of the whole process, because it just gives time for that gluten to settle again in the pasta. Gnocchi, really easy. 1 kilo agria potatoes. Remember agria, my favorite. Boil those and then take them out once they're soft and just let them dry. And then you peel off the skin. And you can either mash them or you put them through what they call a ricer, which is, Jamie Oliver uses that all the time. So you want about 1 kilo of potatoes to 100 grams. So it's 1 to 10 of flour and potatoes being the 10. And then an egg into that, and you just knead that into a soft dough. You roll it down to little thin sausages, and you chop it up, and that's your gnocchi. And you can piece it with a fork. You can all of that sort of shaping of it is really just so it can grab onto all of that really nice sauce that you make. So give it a go. It's great fun with the kids. Yesterday, Lily was in there with me doing that, so she really loved that. It's like Play-Doh for them, but it's dinner, and they get to have fun with it. So
playing with your food, right?
That's right. And I'll tell you what, pasta and gnocchi in winter, oh hallelujah. Nice red wine on the side.
And what sauce did you have with that?
Deborah made yesterday. She made it was a mixture of bacon, garlic. We had some almonds and some spinach in there as well. And so the water from the pasta just makes a great gravy that goes in. So real simple. Grate some parmesan on top. Yeah, come on.
And for all those of you out there who, when you go to an Italian restaurant next in level 2 and you're looking for gnocchi on the menu, it starts with a G.
Yes, that's what
that's
it is.
right.
Very
Yeah,
confusing.
GN, GNOCC.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, just that's Bernie's hot tip.
Yep.
Hot tip.
Starts with a G.
Otherwise, you're going to be there like, where's this gnocchi thing?
Yeah. Is it KN?
Is it
KN?
KN?
That's right.
Gnocchi?
Very cool. But there you go. Enjoy. Give it a go.
Sounds
it's very easy. You
so
can't get it
good,
wrong.
Rob.
Give it a go and let
Love
us
it.
know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or bring some in.
Exactly. And we'll
Which Rob should
taste
do.
it for you.
Yeah, we'll taste it for you. You two might get a Michelin star from Graham Randall.
That's right.
So we talked yesterday. We've got these cool mugs that you see on the front of the table.
Yes.
Here. We're doing a bit of a competition this week with them. We're encouraging you to do something neighborly and then capture it and then fire it through to us at Stories at Bethlehem. Let me just bring that email address up so that everybody can see it. So you do something neighborly.
Yeah.
Take a photo of it or a video or
Absolutely.
just write it out as a story and send it through to us at Stories at Bethlehem. And on Friday we want to share those stories. Part of Feel Good
come on.
Friday.
Indeed.
And for the top 3 stories, I don't know how you're going to judge top 3 stories, but for the 3 stories that we like, we will give away a mug for each of those people.
Yeah.
And you get to choose. You get to choose what mug you want. We've got the newer mug, the yellow with the logo.
Mornings together.
Or you get the one that has been
Our faces on it.
soiled because we've
soiled model.
drunk it out of them. We will sanitize it and everything first.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
You'll receive any mug dripping in hand sanitizer. But so those are different mug and different design, and it's got our faces on it. So it depends on whether you want our face in your house, really, more than for this little half hour.
Gentle reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always there.
That's right.
But yeah, so fire those stories and just do something neighborly this week. Even if you don't want the mug, just do something neighborly this week. And
Absolutely. Let us know anyway.
Yeah, love hearing your stories and things about that, which is cool. So we'll do the housekeeping stuff, and then we'll get into things with Tim. So I just want to say hello again, especially to those who may be listening later on in the day. It's a virtual campfire that is warm anytime you want to arrive. So if you can't join us live at 9, you'll be able to find this video on Facebook for the rest of the day. Same with YouTube. But at the end, also it goes out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and all our other previous episodes are there as well. So if you want to listen that way as well, you can like and subscribe through that way as well. Like I said, you send us your stories at Bethlehem, sort of stories at Bethlehem. Love reading those. You can tag us on social media and follow us on social media as well at Beth Bap Church on Instagram and Facebook. Love seeing what you guys are up to and doing. The church care team is here for you, so you can get in touch with them directly via care@bethlehem.org.nz or give the church a call. With level 2, the pastoral stuff are more available as well, and you're able to come back on site. But if you want to get in touch specifically with the care team, there's the email. But if you give the church a call, our lovely receptionist will tee you up with the right people as well.
Absolutely.
We continue to pray for you during this time. Love praying for you during the season. And you can send your prayer requests through in a number of ways. Via text, like that's on the screen. So using the keyword BBC Prayer to 4040. Or you can, on the main church website, there's a button you can click, which takes you through to a place you can type in your email and fire that through. On Sunday mornings, in particular, during our live hosted services, you can actually connect with one of our hosts during that session and have real-time prayer as well via the beauty of the internet.
Love it.
So that's another option as well, which I haven't shared before, but it is. Speaking of Sunday services, they will be on at 9 and 11 this Sunday morning. Still on all the different platforms that you're currently watching right now. The 100 limit we can't do, so we will still be online in terms of a Sunday service. So join us online on all the platforms you're currently watching, Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Like I mentioned before, just search Mornings Together on Apple and Spotify. We're also on a number of other podcasts. So maybe if you just Googled Mornings Together podcast, you better find it on the platform that you want the most. So there you go. And thank you to all those who do listen later in the day via that. It's always interesting to see who's listening and where they're from. Hi, Mr. Man from Abu Dhabi. It's great to have you.
That's
Yeah. Our regular watchers in England.
Yeah, regular
We don't
regular
know you,
listeners
but
in
thanks.
England and
Yeah.
all sorts. It's
Late at
wild.
night in England.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've got a couple comments who've just come in about the gnocchi in particular. Michaela Gary says blue cheese gnocchi is her fave.
Preach.
Oh.
Preach, Mackay.
Love blue cheese.
Georgia Allison, see, my hot tips helped
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody out there because
Good
she remembered
gnocchi.
ordering it as gnocchi. So embarrassing.
Nga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Louise Tooney is saying gnocchi is so easy to make. It is a great vegan meal with
Yes, it
chopped
is.
tomatoes and cheese. Nadia Lim also has a great recipe.
Oh, brilliant.
Come on.
There you go.
There we go.
All the flavor tips this morning coming at you.
Give it a crack.
Well, he's introduced himself already, but Tim is joining us as our guest today.
Yeah,
and as,
Tim.
And as he mentioned before, he is the general manager at the CET. But first, before we get into that kind of stuff, I want to know how have things been for you and your family during lockdown?
Yeah, good and bad. We at Christmas time, Bronwyn and I had no kids at home, and we felt quite lonely.
Yeah.
Beth was in London, Hannah was in London, and Matt was in Rome. But for this lockdown, we managed to. Matt and Hannah were already home, but we managed to get Beth back from London just with 2 days before they closed all the
Wow.
borders. So
Wow.
we went from no kids at Christmas to suddenly having all the kids at home, which was great.
Yeah.
So that was the good. The bad was the Wi-Fi. My goodness, when you've got 4 people on Netflix and I'm trying to do some work from home, it was a disaster. So someone would yell out, the Wi-Fi's gone down. And I'd yell out, you have to get off Netflix so I can do some work. So
Yeah.
that took a while to adjust to. But we got there eventually. But it's been great to have the family all together. And
Yeah.
the other thing is you miss takeaways, don't you, at level 4?
Oh, yeah.
Goodness me. And
Yeah.
we're having to
Come
cook
on.
every night. We didn't have the Meister here to come and cook for us.
I know.
So it was
But
nice.
you had 3 young adults at
Well,
home.
you would
had to
think
crack the
that that
whip,
would
mate.
be good, right? But suddenly they get home and they've forgotten how to cook.
Yeah.
So
Or do anything.
or
'cause
do
mum's there.
anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to revert back to old habits, eh? But it's been lovely to have them home and make that work. So it's cool.
Wonderful.
Awesome. So you are the general manager at CET, and I was looking at the CET website and everything yesterday. And the vision statement for the CET, I love. It goes to be a biblically based, Christ-centered educational community, making disciples whose servant-hearted influence transforms lives and culture. It's an incredible vision, but it must be an incredible challenge to live out as well, especially in the current climate around the whole Bible in schools thing. What does it mean for you to live out that statement?
So Christian Education Trust looks after Bethlehem College, which you'll all know, Bethlehem Tertiary Institute, and 5 preschools. And so I guess where we're lucky, Bernie, compared to your Bible in Schools comment, is we are very overtly gospel focused as entities. We're all about making disciples using Christian education. So we don't face that battle of Bible in schools. People know what they get when they send their kids to any of those places or to BTI or to the preschools. In fact, they'd probably be critical of us if we weren't gospel focused in the way we go about things. So we're fortunate that all the staff that we employ at the school are Christians.
Mm.
We're able to be very overt about that and say, to work at Bethlehem College, you have to buy into our statement of faith, so you have to be a believer.
Mm.
So it's a tremendous organisation to be part of. We've got 1,700 students at Bethlehem College alone, and we're very, gospel centric in the way we go about things. So yeah, it's fabulous.
Which is awesome, because I think it's probably one of a unique school in terms of it comes out of Christian roots and still maintains that overt gospel focus. I worked in another school up in Auckland for a period of time, which came from that similar roots, but had transitioned to being more private, professional, rather than focusing on being overtly gospel centric. So I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and we say that all of us have got something central to our lives that drives us to going forward. We've all got a king that makes us make decisions. We think the answer to life is to have Jesus as your king, so that drives everything in your life. And that's what we're setting up through Bethlehem College and BTI and the preschools.
Talking about driving through your life, and this wasn't a question that I put in the things, but do you want to explain the journey that led you to being the general manager at the CET?
Sure.
Because you said you recently came down from Auckland. You mentioned before you're previously a pastor. Explain that journey.
Great question. So I became a Christian at 23. I was in London. I did what many Kiwis do. I traveled to London and went with two mates. And it's funny, I was brought up not as a believer, but moral standards my parents taught me. And I got to London and realised I didn't want to live with these two guys I travelled with. So had nowhere to go, didn't know anyone in London. Went to a church and found on their notice board, someone said, if you want to find accommodation, church notice boards are fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
And there was a young couple there that were advertising. So I went and met them, and they interviewed me in their house in London. And they said, they went into their lounge, and said, came back and said, well, Tim, we're happy for you to come and live with us. Nice. But we wanted a girl, and you're not that. And we wanted a Christian, and you're not that either. So the deal, I couldn't change anything about the girl, but the deal was that they said, come to church 3 times with us. After that, you don't have to come again, but we want you to come 3 times. Wow. So I went to church and kept on going, really, and became a Christian in London back in 1987. And the irony is that family, our daughter Beth has been staying with in London this time around.
Wow.
And so we call it the Roberts Finishing School, because we sort of play our part as parents of leading them to Jesus, but then they sanctify them for us. So they come back, in theory, sanctified Christians, which is good.
So good.
So then I'm a qualified accountant, started working for Coca-Cola back in New Zealand, left Coke to start our own business, a coffee business. One of my best mates had risen up in Coke to be managing director of Coke Australia. I was meeting with him one day, having a coffee, and he said, Tim, we want to buy your business, the coffee business, because Coke were looking to expand out of soft drinks. So they ended up buying our business, which was fantastic. And then my church, I was going to Auckland Bible Church, came to me and said, Tim, would you become our pastor? The previous pastor left. And I said, guys, I have no idea what a pastor does. Hopefully you 3 have got an idea. But I've got no idea. I've got no training or anything. I'd done a qualified accountant, done an MBA, but done no pastoral training. So the church was very gracious. And I was pastoring for 11 years up till February last year.
Wow.
Did my master's, did a doctorate through Fuller, and left ABC last year to come down to Tauranga. So that's how it all happened, really.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Big.
Yeah.
I know, massive.
Yeah.
George has just commented saying that what an awesome story, that especially that your daughter got to spend time with the same place.
Yeah.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So cool. So I want to jump back to the servant-hearted influence.
Yeah.
We're in a very unique season. We've talked about being neighborly. We had Brooke on last week challenging us to just get out and to serve.
Yep.
Where's my question? What did I say here?
Just make it up, Bernie.
Yeah. And that's what we do.
That's right.
That's what we do
Every day.
So how can we be a servant-hearted influence in our communities, workplaces, and families during this time?
Yeah, I think the way we live a servant-hearted lifestyle is we look at the ultimate servant who came down to be a servant for us.
Yeah.
And so I go to verses like Philippians 2, 5 through 11 that talks about God, Jesus being God and going down, and then God lifted him up. And I think the way as Christians we learn to serve is we let Jesus melt our hearts. And when we look at what he has done for us, and we really understand the God of the universe has come down and become a servant for each of us individually, that gets into your heart and melts you. And that's what drives you forward to say, because of that, I'm going to go and serve in my community as best I can with all my fragilities, with all my fallenness and my sin, that's how I'm going to learn to serve, by watching him, how he did it.
So good.
So good.
I love it.
And the cool thing is that in our own flesh, we can't pull that off. But
Exactly.
because Jesus is in us, changing us and making
So
us
good.
more like him, we have the Holy Spirit supernaturally sanctifying us to become more like servants.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on, preach.
I know. Preach. Come on.
Come
Come
on.
on.
You can
Tim.
tell I've been a preacher for 11 years. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. So, and it ties into the whole discussion we had before about, making space for
Yeah.
God to
Sure.
be able to do that, for God to do that transformation.
Yeah.
So what would be, in terms of some practical outworkings of that in the current climate that we're in, from your perspective, what would be some practical outworkings?
Of how to serve.
Yeah.
Well, look for opportunities. There's a lot of lonely people out there.
Yeah.
And, we all know, in people in lockdown 4 that were locked, some of them just on their own.
Yeah.
My wife, Bronwyn, is a physiotherapist here in Tauranga Hospital.
Yeah.
And she goes into the community and sees a lot of these elderly.
Yeah.
That's the age group she works with. And they're just lonely.
Yeah.
And so one way is just look for opportunities to serve. And it might just be saying hello over your fence to your neighbour,
Yeah.
chatting to them, sharing a cup of coffee with them. I think it's, again, we used it before, being intentional.
Yep.
Yeah.
Intentional stuff.
I don't know if I shared this on the show before, but I remembered it was Mother's Day at level 3. And we're driving past, we're in Papamoa, of course, which is retirement village central. And we're driving past the quite a lot of them on the main road there. And we're driving past, and I was amazed by the number of families who, because of course the retirement villages weren't open at level 3, the families who are coming to the fence line and meeting with their grandmothers and their mothers and things like that. And even just over the tops of the fence, kind of that connecting with them and being
Yeah.
intentional about, it's Mother's Day, we're going to go and see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that at level 3 is a powerful image of people's
Absolutely.
wanting to be intentional and connecting
Yeah.
with it. And then you keep driving, people standing at the end of driveways, and grandparents are in the doorways of
Yeah.
driveways, or parents in the it's beautiful stuff.
Yep.
And for us as younger people, we don't see the big deal of it. But one day when we're elderly,
Yeah.
we'll get this loneliness.
Yeah.
And we'll understand why we love young people coming to talk to us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So apart from your mum, I'm one of the other people who've read your doctoral
Yeah, there's
thesis
only 2 people.
on
Yeah.
young adults.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do it in that area, in young adults?
Yeah.
Because I was a bit selfish, really. I've got 3 children who are young adults.
Yeah.
And I see all the time people when they're 16, 17 at home, they follow mum and dad to church. As soon as they go off to university, they're gone. They walk away
Yeah.
from church. The statistics prove that.
Mm.
And so I wanted to understand what we can be doing as Christians to preempt that, to be ready for it, and to help our young adults when they leave home to carry on with their faith.
So good.
Yeah, so it was a
So
personal
good.
thing for me, really.
Oh, that's very cool.
So being aware that we have a number of young adults probably watching us right
Yeah.
now.
Sure.
Hello, young adults.
Yeah.
It's good that you're up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What would be your encouragement to them in terms
Yeah.
of, from your learnings through that whole process, in terms of what would be your encouragement to just our viewers in general, I guess.
One of the key things that came out for me is that people want to know if the gospel is true. Of course they want to know that. But the first thing they want to know is, does it work? Does it
Yeah.
actually work? Does it give me meaning and purpose for life? When I have the problems in life, which I will have,
Yeah.
does the gospel have an answer to my problems in
That's good.
life? And they want to look at people and say, they claim to be a Christian. Do they look like they've got life together?
So good.
So the first thing that young adults want to see is, does it actually work?
Yeah.
And then take me into the doctrines and the apologetics and all that.
Yep.
But that follows from knowing if this is going to actually work for me in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
George has just hassled me back saying that I've been up since 7:30. So there you go.
Yeah.
Just to begin wrapping up our time together this morning, Tim, I just want to ask you, what has God been speaking to you specifically? And has there been a significant learning or encouragement that you want to be able to share that with us this morning?
Yeah, and this came from last Friday. I was sharing with you guys before we started. My daughter Hannah, last Friday for lunch, ate butter chicken, and she's allergic to nuts. She rang the restaurant and they said, no, there's no nuts in the butter chicken, you're fine. She ate it. She had a terrible allergic reaction. My wife Bronwyn was in Auckland. So I was on duty. I got the phone call, Tim, can you drop everything, get to the doctors, Hannah's in trouble. And so I had 3 or 4 appointments on Friday afternoon, but I dropped them all to get to be with my daughter. And at the same time as I'm with her, supporting her as her dad, as she's my child, I was reading Ephesians 5, 1 and 2, which says, and I'll paraphrase it, look to mirror God as dearly loved children.
Mm.
Wow.
And that
Yeah.
dearly loved children, I was thinking of my dearly loved child and
Mm.
what that means to be a dearly loved child of God.
So good.
And I just thought of 4 very simple things that related to my daughter. The first thing is she had immediate access to her dad.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
dropped everything for my daughter
Mm.
because she's my dearly loved child. The
Mm.
Bible says God does exactly the same thing for us. He's our Father.
That's right.
He calls us children. We have unbelievable access to him.
So
Yeah.
good.
Second thing is acceptance. I was mad with my daughter for a second. I have to confess, that's the sinful nature, because I'm thinking, I'm busy. Why did you eat this rubbish? And now it's upset my whole weekend, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but God is never angry with us.
Mm.
No.
He accepts us despite all our mistakes. So it's another fact of being a child of God. Third thing is being a child of God means we have his protection.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's the
I love it.
protection we most need.
Yep.
I wanted to wrap my arms around my daughter Friday and protect her so she didn't get sick.
Mm.
God does that for us all the time. We have his protection. And then the fourth thing I think we have as a child of God is inheritance. We have the most incredible inheritance
Yeah.
to look forward to
Yeah.
as children of God. So I want to encourage you all, wherever you're at in your day today, when it says in Ephesians 5, you're a child of God, it means we have full acceptance. It means we have access to the throne of heaven, which is remarkable.
Mm.
It means we have protection from him, and it means we have a wonderful inheritance to look forward to.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
It's so good.
Tim, so good.
Dude,
Mm.
it's so amazing. Kind of reminds me of that study we did at Serious Coffee about the Father Heart of God.
Yeah.
And the line from Louis' book, Louis Giglio, Not Forsaken, is that God is not a reflection of your earthly father.
That's good.
He is the perfection.
So good.
He
So,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
perfection of your earthly father.
And our problem is we
Yeah.
look at our earthly father, and that stuffs us up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And
it's
it's
true.
you can be like the most amazing dad, but God is the perfection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tim, it's been so good to have you with us, man.
Pleasure.
I
Appreciate your
I think
time.
the thing I've
So
loved the
good.
most about this whole thing is learning from all the guests that
I
come
know.
on.
So profound.
My
I
life is
love
richer
it.
because of the guests we've had. So thank you,
100%.
Tim, for being with us this morning. Thank you to
Yeah.
all those who have come before you, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
including all the staff team at the CET.
That's
who
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Get back to
yeah,
work
yeah,
now,
yeah.
guys.
The boss is
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
in about 10 minutes.
That's
Watch
right.
out.
God's
Hurry,
the perfect
clean up.
boss, but I'm not the perfect
Yeah.
boss. You can make me
Put
cross.
away the gnocchi and the fettuccine.
That's
check.
right. That's right.
Yeah, if you guys have gnocchi for lunch, then I think
Oh,
you know
no.
what's up.
Yeah,
You'll not
exactly.
But Tim, as we have tradition on the show, we invite our guests to pray for
Mm.
us and for the listeners. Would you mind doing that now for
Yeah.
us?
Father, I want to pray for all of us thinking about this concept of being children of God. Lord, would you help us to understand the incredible richness of what that term means? Help us to realize that we come to you with full access. We can come to you day and night, and the God of heaven allows us to come in and pray and talk to you. Thank you for the incredible truth also that we have full acceptance from you.
Mm.
We're all sinful. We all do things we wish we didn't do and haven't done. But because of your beautiful 100% acceptance, we are, in your eyes, perfect, which is remarkable. We thank you for the protection that you give us. You wrap your arms around us just like a earthly dad wants to wrap his arms around his children. And we thank you that despite what's going on in this world, we have this beautiful inheritance to look forward to.
Thank you, Lord.
So plant those truths in our mind today and help us to live out a life of joy, knowing that we are dearly loved children of God.
Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Amen, amen. Well, thank you for being with us this morning, or later on the day if you're listening later in the day. It's great that we continue to meet around the virtual campfire. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. But take care, be kind, and take time with one another today. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.